So the wolf was in the doghouse.
Yeah.
That sounds dangerous. Alrighty, on the line with us right now, guys, is the Stro, formerly from World Championship Wrestling for WCW, formerly the Maestro. You've been on the show so many times, man. We really appreciate you. You're always a great guest to have on, so we're glad to have you back on one more time.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
And for those, like I said, for those who don't know, Stro actually posts a lot of what he's doing and keeps a lot of his show updates going on WrestlingEpicenter.com on the newsline. So he posts that for us, and it's a great way if you're looking to keep in contact with the Stro. Of course, you got his website, but you also got our newsline, and you can keep up to date with that too, which is very cool. Anyway, so how you doing tonight, Stro?
Oh, I'm doing great. Just listening to the thunder and lightning outside. We're getting some thunderstorms out on the NC coast here, so
oh boy,
yeah. Crazy.
Ironically, we're getting it too, but I live nowhere near you. I'm out in Arizona, and we're about to get hit with what they call monsoons. So we're about to get hit with.
Wow,
crazy.
Well, they call it monsoons. It's not really, when I hear monsoon, the first thing I think of is like there's a match between Andre the Giant and Gorilla Monsoon that actually took place
right.
during one, and the ring was flooded. And I remember that, and every time I hear the word monsoon, that's what I think of. But this is just really a really bad, treacherous thunderstorm that comes and goes in like 10 minutes. So, alrighty, guys. So the Stro is with us, and Stro, there's a lot of questions I had for you, and one of them actually has to do with your name. And like I mentioned to you off the air, I've been watching a lot of the classic USWA footage from 1995. And back then you were using the name Gorgeous George III. And I wanted to ask you, when you went to WCW, it seems to me that would be something that they would have eaten up, but unfortunately there was already somebody going by that name. Why, was there a struggle over the name for Gorgeous George, or did you happily just change it to Stro?
Oh, yes, definitely. It was just like, all this time I was Gorgeous George III, and, in honor and respect to my granduncle from years ago. And, I've been doing Gorgeous George all over the place, from the United States to Puerto Rico to Mexico and all around. And then, I get to WCW, it's like, they wanted the name, but they didn't want myself with the name. They wanted to separate it and give it to, originally give it to Lanny Poffo, which never it out, which I felt that with his style he could have carried it very well. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
And then you had then they hired me as Gorgeous George III, and then a year later here's Stephanie Beller's doing given the name by Randy Savage, which kind of perplexed me at the time. So I got together with Eric Bischoff and and put our heads together, and thus Maestro was born, which actually was a throwback from my Gorgeous George III persona, but with more of a musical twist, which naturally I had.
Yeah, because you are classically trained.
So it's that along with the amateur and MMA background that I had, it kind of made for a unique character in a sense in which I didn't think the character, the real true meaning of the character, didn't come out until towards the end with my feuds with the Cat and Buff Bagwell, etc., where the Maestro had a stark, sinister side that just, when he would hear bad music or just any certain thing, he would just come out and just go crazy. Kind of similar to a Family Opera type character.
And that's, of course we're going to talk about James Brown, because that's one of the main things people remember you from. But I do remember there was an episode of Nitro, and at the time of this, WCW was doing a talk show that happened directly following the shows, WCW Live by Jeremy Borash and Bob Ryder. And a lot of times the fans would call in and give their feedback on the shows. And there was the February 14th, and I don't know why I remember that date, maybe just because it was Valentine's Day show. You and Kat were in the segment right before the main event.
Yeah, that's correct.
And people were complaining on the show saying, well, why were these two guys, they're not main eventers, why are they there? And I'm thinking to myself, these are the same people that are begging for new main eventers, and when two guys are given a high-up spot on the show, they complain about it.
Yeah, go figure. Right.
Do you find that the Internet has been kind of hard to please, or has it been good to you?
Well, it's I guess it's a love-hate relationship, basically, if you think about it. It has its positives and its negatives, but, at the same time, it can, the positives can be very rewarding in the fact that, since my WCW run, I mean, the internet's been very good to me, and I've, made a lot of new friends and, fans alike. My travels, not only with the wrestling industry, with the movie industry as well. So, I mean, it's been very cool to meet people from all over the world and to, stay in touch with everyone.
Hmm. And ironically,
what have you been up to in the world of movies?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
what have you been up to? Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Pat, real quick. Nick is messaging me, and he's been kicked off the line. So if you could pull him back up, that'd be great.
He has.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yes, he is.
Right.
Okay, let's do that.
I've got 2 horror movies out on DVD right now. One you can get on Amazon.com. One of it else out of Australia called Deader Country, which is a zombie flick. And, of course, just type Deader Country into search on Amazon.com and you can check it out.
What is that one called? What was the name of that one?
Deader Country. It's about the zombies invading Australia.
Very cool. That'd be.
And actually,
I love zombie movies,
so. The film, so it's a pretty natural deal.
That's pretty cool. Would something like that be something that we would ever see on Sci-Fi Channel?
Eventually, yeah, I'm sure. And I got another one that's out on DVD right now called 12/24. It's a horror movie at Christmas time, basically, and I play the role of the killer in the film, and I'm in there along with the Scream Queen, Tiffany Shepis, and quite a few array of horror genre actors and actresses. So I mean, it's the film was directed by Anthony Coliano and Gargoyle Entertainment, which I'm getting ready to shoot another horror movie with them, and then this month called Toss Island, with cameos from myself and ironically Buddy Landell.
Buddy Landell.
Yeah.
Wow. Nature Boy of the '90s, really.
Yeah. So that's shaping up to be a pretty good deal, and there's talks and work about them in production about doing a wrestling kind of like a spoof off the wrestler movie for next year.
A spoof of the wrestler movie. Okay.
With myself playing the main character, but this will be more of a comedy.
Yeah.
More or less, and that's in the works for next year. So the more info I get on them and Anthony Coliano and Gargoyle Entertainment, I'll definitely let everybody know.
Now, is horror really what you're best at? Do you feel that's one of your strong suits?
Well, so far, I mean, I've done the array of small films and the special appearances of, like, for example, One Tree Hill and all that. And I just got a gangster movie that just came out on DVD now called The Legend of Johnny Smalltie, where it's about a bounty hunter chasing bad guys, driving lords, etc. And I played the role of the mob boss in the film.
Yeah, so you do different things too. That's pretty cool. But that you're not really typecast in any kind of character. Do you feel that you being the wrestler in these movies, do you feel that anybody really wants to use you in that role, except for the spoof on the wrestler? Do you feel that maybe it typecast you or hurt you in any way?
Well, I think the fact that I'm able to been playing different roles throughout different movies that I've been doing, it kind of helps me, break that, that aura, that wrestling aura, I guess, the fact that I get banned in the different realms of film. So, yeah, it's pretty challenging, but it's, I think it's pretty rewarding at the same time, and, I've met some really cool people in the process.
Absolutely, and it seems like you're really doing well, and I'm glad to hear that, because I know that the wrestling business can be a hard nut to crack, and with a lot of, I don't know if you heard about this, one of our former guests actually very recently tried to kill himself, and, I've tried to post blogs and posts and editorials saying to guys, look, there's more into life than just this business. Even though we all love it, you got to remember there's more to life than just this business.
I tell you, so many of our guys, they recently have been to the hospital for different reasons, and it's just, I pray for my brothers every single day, you know what I mean? From Steamboat to Eaton, to Scott Hall. I mean, gosh, so many.
Even Hogan and Triple H have been in the hospital the last couple of weeks, too.
Yeah, it's been nuts.
What's that?
Ricky Steamboat.
Ricky Steamboat, he said Steamboat right at the beginning, and Steamboat's still in the hospital, and I don't.
And the thing is, here's a guy, Ricky Steamboat, who's always taken care of himself, always stayed healthy, and who'd have thought he would have what he had, concerning the brain and all that. I mean, as far as like nerves and aneurysms go, it's like, people that's very rare. From the doctors told me that's very rare. That very few people have them.
Yeah.
And the best way to detect it is to CAT scan, because, I mean, you could be physically fit and still have that wrong with you with the brain, so.
It's really weird because that kind of stuff has been going on a lot. It seems